Page 65, the coordinate plane. So the coordinate plane, or the Cartesian plane, has an horizontal axis, the x-axis, remember horizontal like the horizon, and a vertical axis, the y-axis, vertical, up and down. If you have vertigo, you're very high up. Well, not necessarily, but you could be. They both serve as number lines, and they are perpendicular to one another, which means they intersect at what kind of angles? Take a moment and think about it. There are two correct answers here. You can either say right angles or 90-degree angles. Plural form of axis. If we have more than one axis, we have axes. Go ahead and write out how that's pronounced as well. It's not axes, it's axes. So we have the horizontal one, which is x. We have the vertical one, which is y. We have the origin. That's where the axes meet or intersect. That's 0, 0. And we have 4 quadrants, quad meaning 4, so that makes sense. 4 sections that the axes divide the coordinate plane into. We use Roman numerals for them, so I, and IB. And we start with the top right quadrant. We don't start on the left, we start with the right, because those are all the positives, those are kind of the nice ones. So the top right quadrant is 1, and we continue counterclockwise. Ordered pairs. That's a pair of numbers that describes a position of a point on the graph, or a location of a point on the graph. It's x comma y. The x-coordinate is the first number in the pair, and again, that's horizontal. Tells you how far it is over from the axis, and then the y-coordinate is the second number. Tells you how far it is from the x-axis, so the vertical distance. Then you're asked to label each quadrant, the axes, the origin, and a particular point. I'll ask you to go ahead and pause the video and work through that. When you're done, we'll resume. So we have top right, everything's positive, everything's happy. We're going counterclockwise. Oops. Labeling the axes. So the x-axis is horizontal, the y-axis is vertical. I remember that y it takes up more vertical space than x does. But there are other ways to remember it too. We needed to label the origin. That's right here, 0, 0. And the point -4, -2. So that says horizontal distance is -4. Vertical distance is -2. It's right here. -4, -2. Let's take a look at the next page. If we're plotting ordered pairs, we're going to start by looking at the x-coordinate. From the origin, from the very middle, move horizontally the distance given by the x-coordinate. If it is positive, move to the right. If it is negative, move to the left. Then we look at the y-coordinate. We don't start over at the origin. This is important. We do not start at the origin. We instead start at the x-coordinate. From the x-coordinate, we move up and down, however much the y-coordinate tells us. If it's positive, move up. If it's negative, move down. And then draw a point at the ending location and label the point with the ordered pair. So, some examples. Let's start with 1 comma negative 2. So start at the origin, go over to the 1, go down 2, because that's a negative 2. 1, negative 2. I'm just going to check them off as I go. 3, 5. Start again at the origin. Go over 3, up 5 because it's positive, and I have the point 3, comma 5. So I'm just going to draw a straight-ish line between those. Try that again. I recommend using a ruler. There we go. So that's 3, 5. Now I have 1, 5. Go over 1, up 5. Draw my line. Negative 2. Whoops. I almost got off already. So it's a good thing I'm crossing them off as I go. 0, 2. This is the last one I'll do with you. 0 says don't move at all horizontally. And then 2 says just go up 2. I'll let you continue these, and when you're done, it should form an image of something that you recognize. And then we'll figure out which quadrant each point is in, or if it's on that axis. So let's start with B, negative 1, comma 2. Well, negative 1, comma 2 is negative 1, up 2, so that's in quadrant 2, 1, 2. 7, 0, so that's saying go along 7 along the x-axis, don't go up or down at all. So it's still on the x-axis, we haven't moved off the x-axis. And one more, let's do 7, comma negative 9. Notice that it doesn't fit on this graph above. That's okay, I can still envision it. 7, negative 9. It's in the 1, 2, 3, 4th quadrant. Go ahead and finish the other 3 up yourself. And when you're done, there's a worksheet that you may or may not be asked to do. So check with your instructor, page 115. It's traditionally a partner exercise.